What's going on, everyone? JJ Zachariason here with today's start-sit Q&A. Not a lot going on across the league. Sounds like James Robinson's playing today. That's good news. If you have Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, it sounds like a similar situation as last week where, you hope that they would play, but it does sound like they're not going to play, and I don't really blame them. Going up against Carolina and PJ Walker, who knows what's going to happen, but they're still pretty big favorites in that game, so might not want to push it, but let's get to these questions. This first one's from Matt, non-PPR, pick 2, Alex Collins, Mark Ingram, Michael Carter. In a non-PPR format, I'd probably go with Ingram for sure, and I might go with Collins over Carter, but it's pretty close. I do think Carter has a lot of pass-catching upside today with Mike White under center in a game where they should see a negative game script, but I do think in a non-PPR format, I like the touchdown equity potential with Alex Collins a little bit more. Next one, let's go to pick 2 non-PPR. Van Jefferson, Cortland Sutton, Manny Sanders, Ramondre Stevenson. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of Ramondre Stevenson questions today. If you're looking at like Stevenson versus Dearness Johnson or Mark Ingram, you're going with those other dudes. Stevenson's still going to split a backfield more than likely with Brandon Bolden. And JJ Taylor is probably going to be active as well. Elite first name for JJ Taylor. I will probably go with Manny Sanders and Van Jefferson here now that Robert Woods is out for the year. Cortland Sutton just hasn't been getting it done since Jerry Jeudy got back, and I don't love the corner matchup for him this week either. Half PPR pick 1, Mark Ingram or Jerry Jeudy. Also just traded Lockett and OBJ for DK. Which side do you prefer? Let's not do trades on this show because I can't think off the top of my head that well for that, and I don't want to lead you the wrong direction. But pick 1, Mark Ingram or Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to go with Mark Ingram in a half PPR format. I just think the floor is there. If it was a PPR format, I think there'd be a case for Jerry Jeudy. I like Jerry Jeudy a lot today too. JJ, thanks for all your hard work and helping us out. No problem. Greatly appreciated. Full PPR, tight end Zach Ertz versus Pat Freiermuth. Flex, Lenny Fournette or Van Jefferson or Tyler Lockett. I'm going to go with Lenny Fournette, assuming that this is half or a standard league. And then, or I guess it would be full PPR because you said full PPR. I'm still going to go with Lenny Fournette, I think, over those two. And then in a full PPR, Zach Ertz or Pat Freiermuth. I think you're still going Freiermuth, even though Ben Roethlisberger is not playing and Eric Ebron is back. I do think that if you're looking at streamers this week and you're looking at like Dan Arnold versus Pat Freiermuth, or if you're looking at Fanduel where they're both $5,100, Freiermuth was, to me, the higher upside play with Ben Roethlisberger and no Eric Ebron. Now there's no Ben Roethlisberger and there is Eric Ebron. So I think Dan Arnold's the play over Freiermuth, but I would go with him over Zach Ertz. Need 1.5 PPR, Collins, Peterson, or McKissick. Major underdog this week. My team is trash. If you're an underdog, I would go with Alex Collins and hope for some touchdown equity. I think the floor play is JD McKissick. The matchup for McKissick doesn't look good on paper, but that's more for a traditional running back. I think the McKissick could see like 8 receptions in this game, potentially. Alex Collins, the last time we saw Seattle, they split up that backfield, but with Russell Wilson back, there's at least a little bit more upside for that offense, and maybe they end up feeding Alex Collins like they were before their last game. Hurts or Russ at quarterback, Lockett or Mike Williams in PPR. Let's go with the stack in Russ and Lockett, but I can make a case for either direction there. I just don't love the way that the Eagles are operating their offense right now. I don't love that game either, although it is inching up. It has seen that total increase throughout the week. But let's go with Russ coming off the injury. Hurts is a little bit safer, to be fair. But let's go with Russ off the injury, and then let's go with Lockett over Mike Williams. Mike Williams hasn't been getting it done. I do love Mike Williams today, though. He's $6,900 over on Fanduel. I think that he's a great play. Love Mike Williams, but let's go with the stack. I can make an argument for either side, though, with this one. So sorry that I'm not super confident. Javonte Williams, Zach Moss, or Brandon Ayuk in PPR. This is between Javonte and Ayuk, I think. I'm going to go with Javonte. I don't love Ayuk's matchup. Half PPR flex, Antonio Gibson, A.J. Dillon, or Pat Freiermuth. Look, Antonio Gibson was a sit on my show earlier this week, but I don't know that you can sit him necessarily for a guy in a part-time role in A.J. Dillon, who's a fine flex, and then Pat Freiermuth without Ben Roethlisberger. Let's still stick with A.J. Dillon. Hey, guys. Hey, JJ. Thanks for doing this, as always. Full point PPR, flex 1 from Stevenson, Eno, Gallup, or Marvin Jones Jr. Thanks. In a full PPR, I'm going to lean wide receiver, and I'm going to go with Marvin Jones. I think that his matchup's pretty strong. Could see a negative game script for Jacksonville this week. Gallup coming off the injury. I think that realistically, if Gallup had already played a game, I might go with Gallup over Marvin Jones. Eno's tough to trust because we don't know what his workload is going to look like. And same with Ramondre Stevenson to some degree. I'm going to go with Marvin Jones in a full PPR. Hey, JJ, do you like Manny Sanders, Cortland Sutton, JD McKissick, or Ramondre? I am going to go with Manny Sanders there. Hey, JJ, love the podcast. Thanks. Half PPR, Lockett or Elijah Mitchell in the flex. Let's go with Elijah Mitchell. Hey, JJ, thanks for everything. Would you start Ingram over Elijah Mitchell in full PPR? I would not. I'd probably still go with Elijah Mitchell. Main reason, JaMychal Hasty is banged up. And if he doesn't go, we could see Elijah Mitchell be a full-blown bell cow, sort of like we saw last week where he was seeing a higher target share. That JaMychal Hasty injury does matter to some degree. I mean, it matters from taking Elijah Mitchell from like a mid-range, maybe lower-ish range RB2 to being a high-end RB2. So I think I'd still go with Elijah Mitchell, although both of them are sort of in the same tier this week. Roll with Ryan Tannehill or put in Russell Wilson. Matchup is projected to be close. Let's go with Russ. Let's take a chance and go with Russ without Julio Jones there for Tennessee. Pick 2, Beasley, Devontae Smith, Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, Russell Gage, or James Washington. Let's say no to the last 3 because Elijah Moore's peripherals weren't very strong this past week and he gets a tough matchup. Let's go with Beasley and Michael Carter there because I do think Michael Carter is going to see a lot of dump offs. But I think that Beasley's the lock in a full PPR league. And then, you can choose between Devontae Smith and Michael Carter. I'd probably lean Carter. Pick 1, DJ Moore, OBJ, Judy in full PPR. I'm going to go with Judy over DJ Moore. I mean, maybe that's not what consensus is saying, but I'm going to go Judy here. Flex Elijah Mitchell, Alex Collins, or Brandon Ayuk, Ramondre Stevenson on the wire 2. I am going to go with Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell. Darrell Williams or Mark Ingram in full PPR. This one's pretty close. I might go with Darrell Williams because I like the scoring environment more in that game. But I can make a case for Ingram. We've seen Darrell Williams last week. He had a really good workload, but the week before that, it wasn't as strong. So there's a little bit of, there's some question marks there. I think Ingram's going to be, a not necessarily bell cow, but he's going to see a lot of work today. I just like the scoring environment more for Darrell Williams. So I might go that direction. Full PPR, need wide receiver in a flex. Ayuk, Devontae Smith, Odell, McKissick. Need wide receiver. So let's go with Devontae Smith there in a flex. Let's go with in a full PPR league. Let's go McKissick. Full PPR, need a flex. Ayuk or Manny Sanders. I'm going Manny Sanders. Pick 1, Tyler Johnson, Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson. Probably still going Antonio Gibson, but I think it's close. You can make the argument for either guy. Full PPR, need a flex. Javonte, Ayuk, Devontae Smith. In a full PPR league, let's go Devontae Smith. 2 wide receivers in the flex, non-PPR. Debo, Godwin, McLaurin, Stevenson. Okay, you're going with the first 2. Go with the it's a non-PPR league. I'm still going with the first 3. I'm going with the 3 wide receivers over Elijah Mitchell. Stevenson and Javonte aren't in the conversation. I think Elijah Mitchell, it's very, very close. But you'd be stacking that San Francisco offense to some degree. Let's go with the first 3, and you get that Tampa Bay Washington stack in there in case that shoots out. Thanks for all that you do, JJ. Pick 2.5 PPR, James Robinson, Ramondre Stevenson, Hines, or Tyler Johnson. You're definitely going James Robinson there. He is playing. And then I'd probably take a risk and go with Ramondre Stevenson. Hope all is well in your world. Thanks, Hunter. All is very, very well. PPR tight end premium, pick 2, Ayuk, Dan Arnold, Cortland Sutton, Knox, Marvin Jones. Thanks. Let's go with the first 2. Let's go with Ayuk and Dan Arnold. I can make an argument for Marvin Jones here as well. Knox coming off the injury, little iffy. Don't like what Cortland Sutton's been doing. I think between Ayuk and Marvin Jones is a little bit close, but let's go with Ayuk and Dan Arnold. I love Dan Arnold, especially in a tight end premium format. PPR need to start 2 between Sutton, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, Marvin Jones, Elijah Moore. Wary of starting both Broncos together. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to start Cortland Sutton this week. It's not the best matchup in the world, and he hasn't really been seeing that much work. In a PPR format, let's go with Marvin Jones. And I'd probably go Gibson over Williams, but I think that you can make the argument to go Williams over Gibson. Hopefully that helps. Next question. Hey, JJ, love the pod. It's the best of the best, in my opinion. Thank you, Frazier. I appreciate it. Half PPR, Knox or Freiermuth. Let's go with Freiermuth over Knox. And then also 2 of Mitchell, Moss, or Eno Benjamin. Ty Johnson and Ramondre Stevenson are available as well. Let's go with Mitchell and Moss there. Need to replace Kyler, McCoy, Lawrence, Jimmy G, or Goff with the vomit emoji. Let's go, and I guess not the vomit, the about to get sick emoji. Let's go with Trevor Lawrence there. PPR need 2, Javonte Williams, Ingram, McKissick, or Drake. Let's go with Ingram and McKissick. Half PPR, flex 1, Dylan, Kirk, Goddard. Thanks. Let's go with AJ Dillon. I think Goddard's matchup isn't the best, but Goddard's probably fairly close. But I'm going to go with Dillon there. PPR, Knox over Freiermuth with Ben out. I'm still going Freiermuth over Dawson Knox, with Knox coming off the injury. But of course, it wouldn't surprise me if Knox outscores him this week. Banged up, pick one PPR, James Robinson, Darrell Williams, or Javonte Williams. Thanks, Jade. Thanks, JJZ. Let's go with James Robinson. I think you got to in that spot. Pick one PPR. I just answered that one. Half or 1.5 tight end premium. Who sits between Arnold, McKissick, or Van Jefferson? Thanks. Tight end premium. Let's sit. It's between McKissick and Van Jefferson. I think you have to play Arnold in a tight end premium. I'm going to go with Arnold, and let's go with Van with the Robert Woods injury. Half PPR, Stevenson or Boston Scott. Let's go with Stevenson. And flex Washington, Callaway, or one of the RBs. I don't know what Washington you're referring to. Is that Dwayne? Callaway, I guess. Stevenson or Gibson. I could just be having a brain fart there. Stevenson or Gibson. Thanks, JJ. I'd still go with Gibson. Start 1.5 PPR, Javonte Williams, AJ Dillon, Jacoby Myers, or Michael Gallup. I am going to start with this one, probably Javonte Williams. Cousins or Wentz. Let's go Cousins. Hey, JJ, sit one, Javonte Williams, Sutton, Judy Ingram, or Trevor Siemian. Let's sit Cortland Sutton there. Russell Wilson or Ryan Tannehill. I'm going Russell Wilson. Start Sutton or look at waivers at James Washington. That's who it was, the Washington earlier. Duh. James Washington's been out of my brain ever since Ben Roethlisberger came out and tested positive for COVID. Start Sutton or look at waivers. James Washington, Jamison Crowder, Deontay Harris. I'm probably going to go Sutton, but I think that you can make an argument if you need a floor and if it's a PPR format, Jamison Crowder not in the worst spot. You know, the Bills are good, obviously, in the secondary, but if you're going to attack them, you attack them through the slot, and that's where Jamison Crowder plays the majority of his snaps. Favorite dart throw this week: Tyler Johnson, Michael Gallup, MVS. Okay, I'm trying to. There are a lot of random letters and words in here. Guys, whenever you ask the questions, it's a lot easier if you sort of like spell it out for me. Like Swagnew, I'm assuming is Jamal Agnew, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to go Tyler Johnson there. Higbee or Schultz in PPR. Let's go with Dalton Schultz, even with Michael Gallup coming back. Half PPR, Ramondre or AJ Dillon. Let's go with Ramondre. Higbee or Conklin. Let's go with Higbee. Ramondre Stevenson, AJ Dillon, or Jordan Howard. Let's go with Ramondre and take the risk. Half PPR, Higbee or Freiermuth. Let's go with Tyler Higbee there. Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. I'm going Rodgers. Ayuk or Judy in half PPR. Let's go with Judy. Half PPR, need one. Van Jefferson, Judy, or Devontae Smith. Let's go with Judy again. Pick 2.5 PPR, Collins, OBJ, James Robinson, Carter. I am going with James Robinson for sure. And let's go with Michael Carter as the other one. He's more of the floor play. Quarterback stream, Tannehill, Cousins, or Bridgewater. Let's go with Cousins. Pick 3, half PPR, slight favorite. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, Elijah Mitchell. Let's go with Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman, and Elijah Mitchell. And then if Allen doesn't go, obviously pivot to Mike Williams. Now it's tough. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if Mike Williams has a better day today. I think his matchup's really, really good. But, you know, the other options that you have in this lineup are pretty strong. And then you don't have to stack the Chargers in case they do fall flat on their face. Half PPR, Emmanuel Sanders or Ramondre Stevenson. I'd go Emmanuel Sanders. Sit 1.5 PPR, Dearness Johnson, Zach Moss, Van Jefferson, Devontae Smith. You're definitely starting Dearness Johnson there. I'd probably sit Zach Moss of those four. But, you know, it's fairly close. McKissick or AJ Dillon in full PPR. I'm going McKissick. Choose 1.5 PPR, Dearness Johnson, Zach Moss, or Mark Ingram. I am choosing Mark Ingram. James Washington is starting today. J-Rob or Javonte Williams. I'm going James Robinson. At defense, would you go Denver, Dallas, or Philly? Let's go with Dallas there. A quarter PPR, pick 2, Ramondre Stevenson, McKissick, Antonio Gibson, Darrell Williams, or Jordan Howard. I'm going Darrell Williams and probably Antonio Gibson there in a quarter PPR versus going McKissick. Pick 1.5 PPR, Jordan Howard, Ramondre, Alex Collins. Let's just take a chance and go with Ramondre. Hey, JJ, full PPR, Elijah Mitchell or Javonte Williams. I'm going with Elijah Mitchell. Need 1.5 PPR, Mike Williams, Judy, or Emmanuel Sanders. I am going with Mike Williams there. Hey, JJ, a few questions today. Half PPR, stream Taylor Heineke or Trevor Lawrence. I think Heineke has the ceiling. So if you want to go with the ceiling play, go with Heineke. I usually strive for ceiling, so let's go with Heineke there. Half PPR, flex 2, Van Jefferson, Alex Collins, AJ Dillon, Pat Freiermuth, Michael Gallup. I'm starting Aaron Jones. I wouldn't go with AJ Dillon then if you're starting Aaron Jones. So let's go with Van Jefferson and Alex Collins and just see what Michael Gallup's usage looks like. Pick 2 from Lockett, Judy, and Dearness Johnson in full PPR. Definitely going Dearness Johnson. I guess that you're benching Judy here. Half PPR need 1 running back and 1 flex. James Robinson, you're starting him. James Conner, you're starting him. I'd start Conner over Ingram and Darrell Williams. So you're going with the first 2. Full PPR, pick 2 flexes. Marvin Jones, Brandon Ayuk, Amari Cooper, Devin Singletary, OBJ, George Kittle. Okay, this is a lot of people. Full PPR, pick 2 flexes. So I'm going with Amari Cooper and George Kittle because George Kittle has an amazing matchup this week, or he should do well. Cortland Sutton or Van Jefferson. I'm going Van Jefferson over Cortland Sutton. Gibson, Moss, or Ramondre in half PPR. I will go with Gibson there. Hey, JJ, love the pod. 10-team PPR. Worried about Eno Benjamin's workload. Yeah, I would be worried about his workload too. I mean, he's definitely not going to be the starter. Start 1 running back, 1 flex. Dearness Johnson, James Conner, Mark Ingram, Jerry Jeudy. I think I might have just answered this one, or at least it was a very similar one. Oh, no, the other one had Darrell Williams and not Jerry Jeudy. Let's go Dearness Johnson and James Conner. Heineke or Bridgewater. Look, I think Bridgewater's safer, but I think Heineke has the better ceiling. I'm striving for ceiling. I'm going to go with Heineke over Bridgewater. I think that game has a better chance to shoot out. PPR pick 1, Mark Ingram, Stevenson, or Darrell Williams. Let's go with Ingram. Half PPR pick 1, Brandon Bolden, McNichols, Collins, or Eno Benjamin. Let's go with Collins there. Mark Ingram or Dearness Johnson. I'm going Dearness Johnson, but I don't think it's like a lock. I don't think it's the easiest choice in the world, but I am going Johnson over Mark Ingram. There's only 1 other running back active for Cleveland this week, it sounds like. Full PPR, Cole Beasley or Mike Williams. Let's go Mike Williams. PPR start sit, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, James Conner, McKissick, Elijah Mitchell. Let's go. I'm assuming that's what Eli. I don't know, is Eli Missile his nickname? I don't know nicknames, folks. I'm sorry. Let's go with Keenan Allen and James Conner, or start 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Let's go Keenan Allen and James Conner. Yeah, let's go that direction. PPR pick 1, Ramondre, Javonte, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Lazard, or Deontay Harris, maybe. Looking for upside. I'd go Ramondre. Sorry, if you need upside, I didn't realize Javonte was in there. Let's go Javonte. I still think he has just as much upside as the other guys. Let's go Javonte. Hey, JJ, huge fan. Appreciate it. Standard league, would you play Thielen or Amari Cooper? I mean, they're in sort of the same tier, the same bucket. Let's go with Amari Cooper. Non-PPR pick 3, Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, Lockett, Metcalf, AJ Brown. What in the world? All right. You're playing DK Metcalf over Tyler Lockett. You're going AJ Brown. And then I think you're going Michael Pittman. Let's go with Metcalf, Brown, and Pittman. Half PPR, 16-team Dynasty League, flex spot, pick 2. Tyler Higbee, Dalton Schultz, Mike Davis. Let's bench Mike Davis. Yeah, let's bench Mike Davis. Russ or Carr. I'm going Russ. Singletary or Moss in non-PPR. I guess I'm going Moss. I mean, they've utilized him as a goal line back in the past. He's actually seen a lot of receiving work too when he's been active. Let's go with Moss. Full PPR, Agnew or Deshaun. Thanks for being you, JJ. I'd go Agnew. Higbee or Goddard. I would go with, I think Higbee's a little bit safer. I don't love Goddard's matchup. Goddard's just seeing such a freaking awesome target share in that offense. Let's go with Goddard. PPR pick 2, Pittman, Judy, Carter, Lockett. Can also pick up Ty Johnson off waivers. Let's go with Pittman and Judy in a full PPR league. Actually, you could go with Lockett and Pittman. I'd go with Lockett over Judy. DJ Moore or Darrell Williams. I think I'm going Darrell Williams. I just don't trust the Panthers offense. Half PPR, Michael Carter or Mark Ingram. Let's go with Mark Ingram. JJ, thanks for everything you do. Give me 2. Gibson, Pollard, Hines, Knox. Let's go with the first 2. Colts or the Titans defense. I'd go with the Colts defense over the Titans defense. Higbee, Knox, Freiermuth, PPR pick 1. I'm going with Higbee there. OBJ, Renfro, AJ Green, pick 1. I'm going Renfro. Tyler Johnson or James Washington as a cheap wide receiver pick. I'm going Tyler Johnson. McKissick or Gibson in half PPR. I'm going Gibson in half. I think if it's a full PPR league, I would go with McKissick. Half PPR pick 2, Emmanuel Sanders, Ramondre Stevenson, Van Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk. We're going Manny Sanders and Van Jefferson there. McNichols or Javonte, PPR and standard. I'd go with Javonte. Javonte or Emmanuel Sanders. That one's a complete toss-up. Manny Sanders has the upside. Javonte Williams has the floor. Ingram or Odell in the flex. Definitely Ingram. Matt Ryan or Ryan Tannehill, 6 points per touchdown. I'm going to go with Ryan. Oh man, let's go with Matt Ryan. I'm going to lean Matt Ryan in an environment that I think is just going to generate more scoring. I say that, I mean, they're like probably back-to-back in rankings right now. I don't really have a strong opinion there. I'm sorry. Start 2 half PPR, Metcalf, Lamb, Pittman. I would bench Pittman, I guess, but my goodness, those are good wide receivers. Tyler Johnson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, full PPR. If I'm choosing one, I'm gonna go Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson, who should see an increase in snaps with no Antonio Brown, or continue to see that a decent snap share. Half PPR, Bolden or Pollard. Let's go with Pollard. I mean, should play a similar role as Bolden, but I like the environment more. Tyler Johnson or Jacoby Myers, probably Jacoby Myers, but there's definitely a floor play, definitely not one that's going to generate a ton of ceiling. So if you need more of a ceiling and taking a chance, then go with Tyler Johnson. Mark Ingram or Elijah Mitchell in full PPR, leaning Mitchell there, but I think it's really close. Hi, JJ. Thanks for all you do. Pick 2, quarter PPR, Higbee, Gibson, Judy, McNichols. You need 2. I'm going to go with Judy and Gibson probably. Javonte Williams or James Robinson. I'm going James Robinson. Which defense, Tampa Bay or Pittsburgh? I have Najee, and I worry if Rudolph causes this game to be more competitive. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be more competitive for sure. I don't really have a strong read here. I think you can go either direction. Tampa Bay probably has a little bit more upside, just because there could be a lot more passing for Taylor Heineke, and we want that. We want sacks. We want turnovers. That's the way you get it. So Tampa Bay probably has a little bit more upside today, but Pittsburgh's obviously a really good play against Jared Goff. Happy PPR, Alex Collins, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, pick 1. I think it's between the first 2. I think Collins has the most intriguing upside if they end up giving him more work than they did the last time out. But I think Javonte Williams is probably like the safe option of these 3. PPR, Superflex, Heineke or Ingram. I still, whenever it's somewhat close, I lean quarterback. So I'd probably go Heineke. I don't even mind Heineke's matchup today. Tyler Johnson, I already answered this one. Half PPR, Zach Moss, Cortland Sutton, or Marvin Jones. Let's go with Marvin Jones there. Play Elijah Moore, play someone off waivers, and who would you play? Lawrence, I don't know who's on your waivers, so I can't really help there. Brandon Bolden or Peoples-Jones or Russell Gage in PPR, pick 1. In a full PPR league, let's go with Russell Gage. Melvin Gordon or Manny Sanders in full PPR, I'm going Manny Sanders. Eno Benjamin or T.Y. Hilton, let's risk it with Eno Benjamin. Ramondre Stevenson, A.J. Dillon, or Jordan Howard. I might have answered this one earlier. I think Ramondre Stevenson has the most upside there. A.J. Dillon's in like the middle, like a safe enough pick. Antonio Gibson or Pat Freiermuth in PPR. I would go with Antonio Gibson. Ingram, Dearness Johnson, Elijah Mitchell, pick 2. I'm going with Dearness and Elijah, I guess, because I've been saying Elijah Mitchell over Ingram. All of them are in the same tier. They're all really strong plays this week. PPR start 2. Let's see. Emmanuel Sanders, Van Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk. I will go with Manny Sanders and Van Jefferson. What's up, JJ? Appreciate you for doing this. Standard, need a wide receiver 2 with Parker or Woods out. Elijah Moore, Brian Edwards. I guess Elijah Moore. Half PPR flex, Van Jefferson, McKissick, or Gallup. Let's go with Van Jefferson, but I think you can make the argument for McKissick as a floor play. Do we like Higbee over Knox? Yes. Jefferson versus Ayuk. I like Van. Snow in Green Bay, top 2. Lockett, Crowder, T.Y. Hilton. Lockett and Crowder are my 2. Devontae Smith or Marquez Callaway or Emmanuel Sanders in standard, pick 1. I am going to go with Devontae Smith and Emmanuel Sanders there. Oh, pick 1. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I'd go with Emmanuel Sanders there. Half PPR flex, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Ayuk. I will go with Jeudy there. Full PPR pick 2, Jeudy, Dearness Johnson, Amari Cooper. I'm going with Cooper and Dearness Johnson. Half PPR, Jeudy, DJ Moore, or Michael Carter. I will go with Jeudy there, I think. Russ or Wentz, I'm going Russ. Thielen or Renfro, I'm going Thielen. Russ or Wentz, I'm going Russ. PPR flex, Freiermuth, Knox, or Gallup. I will go. I mean, you can risk it with Gallup with that one, actually. Pittsburgh or Tennessee defense, I'd probably still go with Pittsburgh. McKissick or Michael Carter. I would lean McKissick over Carter, I think. PPR, Deontay Johnson, Emmanuel Sanders, or Jamal Agnew. I'm still going with Deontay Johnson there. Dearness Johnson or Mark Ingram in full PPR. I am leaning Dearness this week over Mark Ingram. Carr or Tannehill and PPR, Devontae Smith or Jerry Jeudy. Let's go with Carr and Jeudy. Hi, JJ. Thanks again. Full PPR, tight end Ertz or Freiermuth. I'm going Freiermuth, I think, still. Flex, pick 1, Lenny Fournette, Van Jefferson, or Lockett. I'm going with Lenny Fournette. PPR, James Conner or Lockett. Let's go with Conner. Tyler Conklin or Dan Arnold. We're going Dan Arnold. Brandon Bolden or Nyheim Hines. I guess we're going to go with Brandon Bolden and see how they utilize him. Would you drop Galladay to pick up Mooney off of waivers? It's iffy. It's kind of a lateral move, I'd say. I think Galladay still presents more upside, though. Hi, JJ. Thanks for all that you do. Pick 2 in quarter PPR, Higbee, Gibson, Judy, McNichols. Let's go with Judy and Gibson. I think I answered that one earlier. Start 2 flexes in a 12-team half PPR dynasty with 2 flex spots, Singletary, OBJ, Ertz, and Higbee. Let's go with, I guess, Singletary and Higbee, I guess. Zay Jones or Adrian Peterson in the flex. Let's go with AD. Ramondre or Ingram in half. We're definitely going Ingram there. Ramondre or AJ Green. I think you can risk it with Ramondre. Half PPR flex, Van Jefferson, Alex Collins, AJ Dillon, Pat Freiermuth, Michael Gallup. I'm starting Aaron Jones. I answered this one earlier. I think I went with the first 2. Half PPR looking for floor, Ayuk, Tyler Johnson, or Ramondre Stevenson. I will go with, from a floor perspective, it's probably Ayuk. Pick 2 in half PPR, Darrell Williams, Mark Ingram, and James Robinson. I will bench Darrell Williams there. Elijah Moore versus Buffalo, Tim Patrick versus Philly, OBJ versus San Francisco. I think in this case, I would just risk it with OBJ. Dalton Schultz, I'm assuming that is, or Dallas Goedert. Let's go with Schultz over Goddard, I think. Dillon or McKissick. I'm going to go with McKissick in a full PPR league. Pick 2 in standard, Van Jefferson, Alex Collins, and Jordan Howard. I'm going to go with the first 2. Full PPR, no Murray. Do I go with McCoy or Bridgewater? Thanks much. I'd go with Bridgewater. Hi, JJ. In full PPR, I need 2 running backs, Ingram, Mitchell, or Robinson. I guess Mitchell and Robinson. Elijah Moore, I already answered that one. Non-East Coast dad here, full PPR. Zach Moss or Jacoby Myers, Tyler Johnson. Probably would go with Zach Moss. Jacoby Myers is sort of like the safest play, and Tyler Johnson's the most fun, highest upside play, I think. With Godwin active, is Tyler Johnson a flex wide receiver 3? Yeah, I think so. I mean, do I say that confidently? I think he's more of like a wide receiver 4, maybe not wide receiver 3, but flex in a 3 wide receiver league, that's full PPR, sure. Full PPR start 2, Drake, Dillon, James Washington, Corey Davis. I'm going to go with Dillon and Corey Davis. PPR Williams or Ayuk. I don't know which Williams you're referring to here. Drop Ramondre or Eno for a kicker. I think Ramondre might not see the work when Damian Harris hypothetically comes back next week, whereas Eno has the upside of James Conner getting hurt. / he might just see more work regardless. So maybe Ramondre, but it really is going to be dependent upon, it's really just a guess. It's an educated guess. Hey, JJ, half PPR, Zach Moss, Marvin Jones, or Cortland Sutton. I will go with Marvin Jones there. Javonte or Mark Ingram. I will go with Mark Ingram. Pick 2, Mark Ingram, Jordan Howard, or Javonte Williams. I'm going Mark Ingram and Javonte Williams. Dan Arnold or JD McKissick in a PPR tight end premium. Let's go with Dan Arnold there. Hi, JJ. Thanks so much for all you do. Full PPR, need one flex from Darrell Henderson, Tyler Lockett, Alex Collins, AJ Green. I'm going Darrell Henderson. Pick 1, half PPR, Van Jefferson, Ramondre Stevenson, or Alex Collins. Let's go with Van Jefferson. Full PPR, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Khalif Raymond, or Randall Cobb. I guess Donovan Peoples-Jones. Full PPR, Judy or Ayuk. I'm going with Jerry Judy. I got like 30 seconds left. Half PPR, Javonte Williams or JD McKissick versus Stevenson. I think McKissick might be the play. Hey, JJ, standard, Ramondre Stevenson or Michael Carter. In a standard league, I might lean Ramondre Stevenson and just take the risk. McKissick or Ingram in full PPR. I'm going Ingram. Thanks, JJ. You're the best. Full PPR need 2, Stevenson, Pollard, Dillon, or Eno. Let's go with Pollard and Dillon. Hi, JJ. Thanks for all that you do. Quarter PPR tight end, Freiermuth or Higbee. I'm going with Higbee. And then Antonio Gibson, Judy, and McNichols. Let's go with Judy there. Need running back and a flex and half PPR. This is going to be the last question. Ramondre Stevenson, AJ Dillon, Jordan Howard, Brandon Ayuk. Let's go with Ayuk. And if you need the upside, go with Stevenson. If you need more of a floor, go with AJ Dillon. That's going to do it for me. We got some folks hopping on though right now to talk a little sports betting. If you guys have any more questions you want to ask me, you can hit me up on Twitter at Late Round QB. I'm sure that they'll be glad to answer some questions as well. Once I'm out of here, but thanks everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
Hello, how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I think we have Ryan coming on too, right?
It looks like he's having some technical issues, so I think it might just be us for now.
I think I'm heading out. So if you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Well, awesome. I think it's just going to be me for the moment. So I'll just get going on telling you what my favorite games are going into today. So what I have right now is my favorite games for today are going to be the Saints and the Browns. We have the Saints. I took the Saints at +3. I really like this matchup because best part about the Saints going in right now is that their defense is number one right now. And they're going up against the Titans, where, yeah, they've looked really good these past couple weeks and they've played some really big teams where they look like they are the best right now in a way. But that this is going to be the perfect opportunity for them to get shut down because we have the Saints defense, which is number one at being able to stop the run. And you have the Titans, where it's down to Adrian Peterson now. And Ryan Tannehill, as much as they won last week, he didn't really do that well. It was the Titans defense that put up a lot of the points. And the Saints defense, well, is allowing the sixth most passing yards. And this is just the perfect matchup where they're going to be able to shut down the Titans this week and today, sorry. And I don't see them scoring more than 20 points. Now, looking at the Steelers and Lions game with Big Ben just being ruled out, this is actually a game I don't really feel comfortable touching today just because of that being a major issue. Because even though the Lions aren't playing extremely well, they have a tendency to still play extremely hard and tough, and they bring the matchup. And so, with that being said, it's not going to be a game that I feel comfortable taking. Now, another game we got looking at here, we have the Falcons and the Cowboys. If this is another lean for me, I would lean the Cowboys -8. You have the Falcons, where Matt Ryan, he has reached 300 passing yards in 4 of the 8 games that he's played so far. And then they have the Dallas defense, where they're allowing 20.5 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Then the Cowboys pass DVOA is ranked 7th. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, we're dealing with technical difficulties over here at the Williams household here. Shout out to Apple and the MacBooks for doing a restart on a Sunday football. But Jessica, how are you doing? Thanks for holding down the ship for me.
Yeah, no worries. I'm doing good. I'm glad you were able to make it.
Absolutely, me too. I heard you kind of talking about the slate there briefly. What leans are you having for today, and what bets are you going in on?
Yeah, so the games that I really like today, I really like the Saints and I like the Browns, going with the dogs. And that's for the morning slate. And then afternoon,
Okay.
I really like the Eagles and I like the Seattle and Green Bay over. Those are my
Wow.
favorite bets.
Okay. So
Yeah.
even with the snow there in Green Bay, you're gonna lean the over there.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything sticking out to you in particular? Because that's one for like a DFS standpoint. I was kind of looking at that game late because you got Russell Wilson coming back there. I think that definitely helps out Metcalf and Lockett there with Jair Alexander on the defensive side for Green Bay still being out, and then Rodgers coming back, and this is like a total FU spot for Rodgers, right? Like he just had to deal with the COVID protocols and not vaccinated, and now he comes back. And even though he hasn't practiced, this is a home game and still playoff implications. So with 2 Hall of Famers, is that why you're leaning on the over there with points?
Yes, definitely. And another big reason is the Seahawks, they love to run the ball. And the Packers, what can they do? They can't stop the run. So
Right.
the Packers, they pass a ton, and the Hawks can't stop the pass. So that's why I really like it. I'm not expecting long bombs, but they should be able to move the ball and even in the snow and be able to get the ball down the field.
Absolutely. And then, yeah, I've heard you talk about the Cleveland side of things quite extensively this week. And, shout out to Jessica. You can follow her at Gridiron and Wine on Twitter to get all of her picks. And Jessica, you had gotten them, I believe, when the line was +3, right, for the Browns. And I've seen that line has moved a little bit. I think right now in the FanDuel Sportsbook, I'm trying to get my screen share up here for everybody, but I think it's at 2.5. And just talk to me a little bit about why you are leaning so much on the Cleveland side here on the road traveling into Foxborough.
Yeah, because the biggest reason is, you have the Browns where what are they known to do, even though they're with Nick Chubb out? They love to run the ball. And the Patriots, when, yeah, their defense is looking like it's getting better, it is getting better. However, what they're struggling with is being able to stop the run. And this is only going to benefit the Browns, who are number one at being able to they're number one in rush DVOA. So this is going to just benefit them. And I believe, even just with their third string running back, that they're going to be able to get this job done. Now, also offensively, the Patriots, Mac Jones is as good as, yeah, he's playing in a rookie level. He is still struggling, and he's going up against the defense where the Browns defense, they had some injuries in the beginning of the year, and now they're pretty much all healthy. So like the defense is the best part of the Browns right now. I mean, defensively, the Patriots are going to struggle to be able to put points up on the board.
Yeah, no, and I think that it's very intriguing here because you got like the two starters, right? The two running back starters for both of these teams being out, and Nick Chubb on the Cleveland side and on COVID protocols, and then Damian Harris, I believe, dealing with a concussion. So we're getting backup running backs here, Ramondre Stevenson and Dearness Johnson, who had a fantastic week, I believe week 7, rushing the ball for Cleveland. So that should be a really tough, grinded out matchup. I definitely love getting exposure to both of those guys in DFS. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat here, who's joining us and coming in. I see the start sit questions still piling in from JJ's side of things. If you guys have any questions about any bets on the Fanduel Sportsbook, any spread picks or anything like that, DFS picks, get them into the chat and we'll make sure we'll hit on these for you guys. I see a lot of questions here in the chat, mostly from the start sit side. Jessica and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything if anybody had any betting questions. Let's look at some of these other games that are in the early slate. Talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who and maybe the Buffalo Bills side of things, with those spreads kind of being closer to double digits there. And we saw the Tampa Bay side, they're coming off of the bye, right? And then they're traveling to Washington, and one of the most favorable passing matchups that you could possibly have. Brady leading the league in passing touchdowns, I believe, and possibly passing yards as well, too. That could be a favorable matchup. In the Bills side, I'm curious to hear your thoughts there, just because with that 13.5 spread, I get it. They're facing the Jets team that hasn't really shown us to do much offensively. I think the kid, Mike White, who was quarterbacking there and had that big win against Cincinnati, he'll be there at the helm. But Buffalo's kind of struggled the past couple of weeks in matchups that they were supposed to, blow out teams. How are you viewing either side of those things in those big spreads?
Yeah, so with the Bucks game, I would lean the Bucks minus 9.5. I kind of really like the over 51 too. Yeah, you have the teams coming off of a bye. Tom Brady's facing the Washington football team, where they actually have given up the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks this season, and their pass DVOA is ranked 31st. So that just goes to show you, how Tom Brady could play extremely well today. However, when it comes to his weapons, he's kind of limited. He's really just has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and I feel like they're going to rely on Leonard Fournette to be able to run the ball too, which is going to be able for them to put points on the board. But there you have the Washington football team where they play tough. They get down to the red zone. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to get all the way through and actually put points on the board. Maybe with their week off, they were able to address that, and Tyler Heineke is going to be able to actually make some big plays right there. So that's but I don't know. Or it could just go the other way, and it could be a close matchup and they just don't cover. I'm not too sure, but that's a lean game for me. Now, as far as the Bills game, I would honestly lean Jets plus 13. This is a divisional matchup, and the Bills haven't looked well the last couple of weeks. And they tend to be tight and low scoring. So the points, so the two spots, I'd look to go with the Jets and lean the under as well. This could be the game. Josh Allen, he's played hot, and he is going up against the defense DVOA that's ranked last, and we could see a big game for them. However, like I said, divisional matchup, the Jets, they kind of just like, we have the Mike White coming in, and he played an incredible game against the Bengals, and it's just, I don't know. It could go either way, but I honestly, I would lean the Jets. It's hard for me to say that, but yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, Buffalo, I mean, listen, they have struggled the past 2 weeks, like I was saying, just to kind of put the teams away. And it seems like it's been a long time since we've seen them blow out a team. So I'm curious to see how Mike White shows out here in his, I believe, third start. That will get him in. Definitely going to be a tough one, tough sledding. I think the line has already moved now to 14 in favor of Buffalo. So we're getting that half a point movement there. Let's talk about another game on the early slate here and see how you're feeling about the Colts and Jaguars. I'm not sure if you touched on this before I came on here, but Colts 10.5-point favorites here against Jacksonville. Jacksonville really hasn't been able to get anything going. This is a divisional matchup for them, but the Colts have just been really firing on all cylinders. I mean, Carson Wentz is a guy who I have a ticket for comeback player of the year on that I'm kind of happy about how the past couple of weeks have been going, because he's been kind of explosive there with multi-touchdown games. Jonathan Taylor, it looks like, the coaching staff has come to their senses and realized they need to give this guy the ball in order to succeed. He's just been so efficient on limited touches already. This could be a really explosive game for him. How are you viewing this side of things? Do you think Jacksonville has any chance of staying in this game, and are you willing to take the points there with the Indy side?
Honestly, I would lean the Colts minus 10.5. I'd probably consider teasing this game. Honestly, I'll fade the Jags all year long, especially going up against a top tier defense. The Jags are terrible at stopping the run, and just like you mentioned, they have Jonathan Taylor, and if they need to use him, and they'll be able to get points on the board. Trevor Lawrence is also he had a low ankle sprain last week, so I don't really consider him maybe being 100%, so that could really affect him and his throwing ability. And James Robinson, I believe he's still a game time decision. Have you heard, is he playing today?
I believe he's activated, but definitely, dealing with that sore heel. I believe the heel injury is what was keeping him limited, so hasn't practiced all week. That could really be tough sledding for him in this matchup against Indy.
Yeah, and then as far as Carson Wentz, actually he's been playing the best the past couple weeks. He's actually been playing the best ball all season long. So he's thrown 3 touchdown passes in each of the last 3 games. And so this could be a good matchup for him. And he just needs to stop making silly mistakes. That's what he needs to do. And we've clearly seen that Michael Pittman Jr. has been playing extremely well too. So there's a good chance fantasy-wise that he might be a great play, in this matchup.
No, absolutely. And I think that I just love Jonathan Taylor this week from a DFS standpoint. When I was building my teams around, I just think this has to be a good spot for him to kind of get a multi-touchdown game, hit that 100 yards, and really be explosive for your teams. Let's talk about some of these other games on the early slate, Jessica. Again, and shout out to everybody who's watching us on the YouTube channel here for the Fanduel Countdown to Kickoff show here. Ryan Williams joined by Jessica Gridiron. Again, you can follow her on Twitter at Gridiron and Wine as she, takes a little sip there. Got the beautiful setup back there. Make sure you guys are following her for all her leans for NFL and all things sports related as well. And Jessica, I wanted to kind of kick it off here with one of the games, which I think is kind of intriguing to me. The Steelers and the Lions, with Ben Roethlisberger late yesterday, or it might have been afternoon, getting ruled out on the COVID, or getting ruled out for COVID. It was reported that he self-reported this case. So he actually went to the team and reported the symptoms, and that's why he's not going to be playing. So now we get Mason Rudolph. And so Mason Rudolph is going against this winless Detroit Lions team. I was expecting the line to move a little bit more than it had. It had opened up at 6.5. I believe it was down to 5.5, as you guys can see there on your screen if you're watching along with us. And now just looking at the sports book here, I think it's back up to 6 in favor of Pittsburgh. Is there any reason why Pittsburgh should still be favored by almost a touchdown in this matchup? I get it. They're at home here, and the Lions have really looked putrid. But if they can get anything together with DeAndre Swift or take advantage of the backup quarterback there in Mason Rudolph, I think they could maybe cover this spread. How are you feeling?
Yeah, with Big Ben being out, this game was a little. Yeah, I mentioned this when I first jumped on, but it's kind of a little bit of a stay away for me. However, if I did have to, now thinking about it more, I'd probably tease the Lions up. Short road dogs are hitting big on teasers so far on the season, so I really like it. Yeah, this. It's not like Big Ben was a huge. Yes, he's the franchise quarterback. However, he hasn't done amazing things when it comes to the Steelers. It's really all about running the ball for them. Najee Harris has proven to play extremely well, and he's going up against the Lions defense that's ranked 25th in rush DVOA. And then you have the Lions where, DeAndre Swift, he's had a couple explosive games, and that's really about it. And this is a tough matchup because it's the Steelers defense that, the Lions are really going to have to be ready for, not really them offensively. And, it's just Big Ben isn't worth 4 points, but the Steelers are covering a touchdown as possible with that defense. That's why it's a little tricky with this one for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. It is one that I agree with you, Jessica. It's one of those things where you get this late news and people could lean one way, and it's one of those I might just want to stay away from it. Even take maybe a look at the under here. I think it's over, or the over under is at 40.5 right now, which is extremely low when you're thinking about totals, as we really look around that 43, 44 mark for the low mark. Anything under that is extremely low. We have another situation where we could get the backup quarterback again, actually 2 backup quarterbacks in the late game, with Arizona taking on Carolina. Arizona has really been a stout this year. I mean, for lack of a better word, I can't think of what I was trying to say, but they've really just exceeded expectations, at least for me, thus far in the season, as we're getting into week 10. And now they're taking on a Carolina team which really hasn't got much going, except for the fact that they're getting Christian McCaffrey back. Now, Christian McCaffrey, he only played like 43% or something of the snaps last week and saw 19 opportunities. He could see a ton more this week, as we're going to have PJ Walker starting for Carolina. We're going to have Colt McCoy likely to start for Arizona. We have not gotten official word on that, but it looks like Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins will be out for this game. Rondell Moore was also questionable, but I think he's going to play. So with so many question marks, Jessica, what, if any, leans can we take for this? The over-under's at 41.5. Arizona still favored by 7.5 at home. I think James Conner is a big guy that people are excited about this week. How are you feeling?
I mean, we have PJ Walker versus Colt McCoy. Is this a Western movie?
Right.
What's going on here?
I love that.
If I had to pick a side, I'd honestly lean the Panthers plus 10.5. In all honesty, I just with Murray and Hopkins being out, I mean, I think that's kind of a big deal for the Cardinals offensively. And the Panthers, the biggest thing that they're going to have to do is they're going to have to rely on CMC. Yeah, I know, like you had mentioned, that makes sense that he played only about 43%, you said last week, because I was going up against him in fantasy in one of my leagues, and he didn't perform as I was like, all right, he didn't put up, an insane amount of points. Thank you.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but PJ Walker, we just got to see what he's going to be able to keep up and keep up with. Like I said, we're using Christian McCaffrey to his advantages here, and this is going to be a defensive battle. So I'd really consider the under, and I would take the Panthers just because the Cardinals defense is, playing extremely well, and then obviously the Panthers are too. So it's really just going to be, that's why I like the under in this game too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be another one that's, excuse me, just an ugly matchup there when you're looking at 2 of the backup quarterbacks coming in. Let's see, what else do we have on the slate here? Are there any other leans, Jessica, that are sticking out to you at this moment?
Well, I'd mentioned, I like the Eagles versus Broncos. Actually, I like the Eagles at +3. I like the dogs in this matchup. You have the Denver Broncos where, Teddy Bridgewater, he has yet to really have a lot of passing volume, and he's going up against the Eagles, where you have the Eagles defense right here. Where their pass DVOA is ranked 21st, and their rush EPA is ranked 22nd. So yeah, it's possible the Denver is going to be able to, they're going to be able to put points on the board. But at the same time, I still really like the Eagles. They're able to run the ball, and Jalen Hurts, he has under 200 passing yards in 4 of the last 5 games, but this could be the perfect bounce back game for him to be able to show up and be able to beat, cover for against Denver.
No, that's an interesting one that I haven't yet gotten to, and Jalen Hurts has just been so incredible for fantasy. And you're looking at the Denver side of things, and they've kind of struggled a little bit as of late, but they could have some favorable things working for them. I think that Darius Slay on the Eagles side is questionable. I haven't seen any definitive news on whether we'll get him or not. That's obviously going to be a huge miss for them on the defensive side if he doesn't play. So I think the line right there is reasonable with Denver -1. But that's just a game where, if things break weirdly in that game and Jalen Hurts is relied on to kind of pass and put points up, we've seen him be able to do it. So that one could, maybe go over. It could also, definitely lean in Philly's favor, as Teddy Bridgewater is just a little bit more conservative with the football. We're getting down to the home stretch here, as we have a couple more minutes left before we get into kickoff. And there's some big games that I still wanted to touch on here with you, Jessica, and one of them being, I think, probably the game of the week, if dare I say, with Minnesota Vikings taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. This game, I think, just reaps of fantasy goodness, reaps of points. The over's at 53.5. I loved getting the over at the beginning of the week. I think it was at 52. I believe we have a 1.5 line movement on this, as the public just keeps betting it up. And you're looking at the Minnesota side of things where, on the defensive side, they're missing a lot of key pieces. I think they have 5 starters that are going to miss. Daniel Hunter had missed last week. I think they have some guys in the secondary also banged up as well, with Harrison Smith and others. And, both of these teams, I mean, Eckler's in a great spot to run against this team. Dalvin Cook is in a tremendous spot against the run funnel defense in the Chargers. This is, Minnesota traveling to the West Coast there, and playoff implications as well in this game too. What are your leans, if any, in this game, Jessica, with the Vikings taking on the Chargers here in the afternoon slate?
This is another spot where I would take the over and consider teasing the Vikings up. The Vikings love keeping games close. We've seen this all year long. And if they have a big lead, they play conservatively and keep teams close. So if they fall behind, they play aggressively and they get back in the game. But I do like this game. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. Justin Herbert, we saw what he did last week. He came back hot and, played extremely well. This is, you also have Austin Eckler, who, he's topped 100 scrimmage yards in 5 of the last 6 games and also scoring 7 touchdowns. And the Vikings defense is giving up 136 rushing yards a game. And Kirk Cousins, he either has an explosive game or a bust. And this could be the perfect game where I feel like he can be explosive. I think throwing the Lions and Vikings in a teaser with a 1 or 2 more road dogs look like a good play.
Excellent. No, and Jessica, that's a great point there. And we haven't really touched on, we've done a couple of these shows and we haven't touched on teasers all too much. So just briefly for the people, can you just explain to them a teaser and how valuable that can be when you're looking at bets?
Yeah, definitely. So when teasing a game, the best way to look at it is you want to pick 2 teams that look like the spread is not something that you really feel comfortable with when you first initially look at it. So you would really want to be able to add some more points to it. And you increase or decrease points for a team. And you have short road dogs are usually really good to be able to do that with. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, that's just such a valuable thing and such an aspect of betting that I think is still just so new for people and so new, green for people who they see that and they just might not know, how do I play this teaser, or what is a round robin, or how do I take advantage of some of these things? So I just love that.
Yeah, I like taking dogs more so than favorites, and you can add a touchdown to a team's points, which is also really nice.
No, absolutely. So yeah, great information there. If you guys are still just getting into betting and still just want to play around with a little bit of your bankroll or earnings there on the FanDuel Sportsbook, make sure you guys are checking out all the lines and all the action that we have on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Really great stuff there. There are some cool boosts, as I always like to touch on the boosts every Sunday for you guys, and we got an interesting one for the Sunday night game. Patrick Mahomes to throw for 300 passing yards and the Chiefs to win. I mean, this bet, usually you'd be looking at 2-1 would be great for this. I think it opened at plus 270. It's now 3-1, almost plus 310. And Patrick Mahomes definitely been struggling there. I kind of want to get your take on the Chiefs side of things late tonight, Jessica. We also got, as you were talking about Kirk Cousins there, boom or bust. He's got to throw for 2 touchdowns, and the Vikings to cover plus 3.5 is plus 220 on the book. And then a very fun one there, if you guys are really feeling like rolling the dice, we got both the Raiders and the Falcons to win this week at plus 1,000. So 100-1 on those odds there. Falcons would have to upset the Cowboys, Raiders upsetting the Chiefs. Both are possible if you want to get some action on that. $10 would pay you 100. So that's really enticing. $10 would pay you 100. So really enticing there. Jessica, as we get a couple minutes left here, I just wanted to ask you about some of the late night games, or I guess the Sunday night game, and then we got the Monday night game as well. How are you feeling about the Chiefs traveling in to Las Vegas to take on this Raiders team? The Chiefs have really kind of struggled of late. They got, a lucky victory, I guess. Maybe lucky, maybe they just were able to grind it out against Jordan Love, and now they have to face against this Raiders team. I believe the Raiders were on bye last week potentially, or I might be getting that wrong. But either way, the Raiders are laying 3 here. How are you feeling about this game?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think the Chiefs line is right on the dot. You have to remember, though, this is a primetime game, and always little weird things happen during primetime games.
Yep.
Both looking at, like you were mentioning with the Falcons too, both teams could win outright, and how the Chiefs have looked the last year, the Raiders kept it close in both games, and they won outright. When the Chiefs looked better last year, then the Raiders could win. And I usually lean the dogs during prime time. So as much as the Chiefs, this could be the game that they bounce back, and they could, even Mahomes last week, he struggled against the Packers.
Yeah.
But the positive thing was he had his first game of not throwing an interception since week 1. So that's going for him. But the Raiders, they coming off a bye, they had multiple turnovers last week for the first time. Derek Carr did. And now he's going up against the Chiefs, that they're allowing 8 yards per completion, which is 29th in the league. So, and they are also terrible at stopping the run. And Josh Jacobs, he had a season high last week with 95 scrimmage yards. So this could really be a good matchup for him. And we've seen that with, Ruggs gone, that Hunter Renfrow has kind of really stepped in. Even fantasy wise, he had a season high last week with 7 catches on 9 targets. So as much as, the Chiefs, this could be the game. I mean, it's prime time. So like I said, I probably won't until later on Twitter maybe announce what side I'll end up choosing.
Fair enough. And then real quickly before we sign off here, as we're just getting into lock here, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern time, just go real quick on the Rams and 49ers Monday night game. We'll kind of cover that on this FanDuel channel here. I will tomorrow. But what are you thinking about that side? We got Robert Woods, who shockingly on Friday tore his ACL, out for the season. So now we got Cooper Kupp and OBJ joining the team, but it looks like he won't play play all that much. Is at least that's what they're saying at this point. But it's like Robert Woods is out. How can he not? And then you got 49ers on the other side, who should be pretty healthy, with Eli Mitchell going and a lot of those guys, Deebo Samuel and everything else. Over under a 50.5. What are you thinking about this game?
I'd lean the Rams -3.5, and I'm leaning the over as well. There's just no way Matthew Stafford has 2 bad games in a row. I mean, this is the perfect bounce back for him. He's still averaging over 300 passing yards in the last 5 games. This is just the Rams overall are the better team. And yes, the Niners can be, iffy, but I just don't, Jimmy G. And I know it's primetime game, and I typically lean the dogs, but I just can't trust Jimmy G. I can't.
I hear you. No, and the Rams, I mean, they're all in, right? So they Super Bowl, they won.
Yes.
This is a division matchup for them. They got to do right.
And Von Miller's starting, right?
Yes, I think that hasn't been made official yet, but we should get some Von Miller action as well. Maybe limited, not full, but that would be very exciting to get Von Miller and OBJ, the 2 new pieces that they got in for this game, and definitely maybe not needed, but definitely would help for them to take on San Francisco. Jessica, thanks so much for holding down the ship for me at the beginning as we were able to grind through these technical difficulties here. And thanks to all the Fanduel family and friends, you guys rocking with us as well. Make sure, like it says on there, subscribe, follow the channel. We got all the content for you guys to succeed in your fantasy, for your fantasy teams, for your DFS, for betting. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that like button for us one time. Signing off for Jessica Gridiron. You can follow her at Gridiron and Wine on Twitter. I'm Ryan Williams. You can follow me on Twitter at RyanAlexander_W. I'll catch you guys tomorrow on the Monday Night Football preview Q&A stream. Until then, you guys have a fun Sunday. Get that money. Peace.